a free call from
Michael Jackson.
an inmate at Regina Provincial Correctional Center. Relay calls are prohibited. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. Press 1 to accept the call. To deny this call, thank you for using Telmate.
Hello?
Hey, Michael, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Arthur?
Good, good.
So, I don't know if what you've thought about it or anything. Do you think it's preempting God by going out there and putting pressure out there on the court? Should I just be waiting, even though I have zero patience left in the matter?
No, I believe that you should be doing everything in your power to get yourself from this horrific, illegal, evil circumstances that they have subjected you to. This government that we have right now has total disregard to the law and order, to the whole justice system, if you will. So I would say to you, do everything in your power to get out of this situation and survive for another day, so you can bring to light what is happening to you, so perhaps will not happen to other people.
Yes, I agree. It's just, it just seems like it just doesn't end, right? It just seems to keep happening and happening and happening, and you get so sick of it, it's just like, well, you know more than me because you've been through it so much longer than I have. You've been dealing with the city for years and years, and then the courts, before I even got started, all through the COVID, you dealt with that. And I don't know, some days strength is hard to come by,
Well, what keeps me going, Michael, is the understanding that God is the ultimate judge. In the end of the day, like I always say, He is the judge of judges. And every crown prosecutor, every lawyer, every politician, every media personality, every judge or health inspector, worker, whatever, every man sooner or later will stand before the holy God and will give an account for everything they said and everything they did. So in the end of the day, justice will be served. I would like to see justice now, but sometimes we have to wait for it a little bit. I'm waiting 17 years for my justice finally to come, and I believe I'll see it. And I believe that at least some of those people on this side of eternity will face justice. And if some villains will escape, they will face justice on the other side of eternity. But every man will get what's due to him or to her.
Yes. I agree. 100%. Well, I'll just, since the last time we talked, I'll just tell you a little bit, and feel free to stop me, if I'm not being clear. But since the last time we spoke, I was on a hunger strike because they had, I went to the nurse, you remember, for a sore pinched nerve in my neck, and they told me I had to take a COVID test because I had a stuffy nose. I passed the test, and then they locked me down, refused me my Bible, my devotional books, and wouldn't give me an answer to my release, and kept me in there for 16 days. And finally, the chaplain of the jail came in and talked me into stopping because he said that, I think I'd lost 20 pounds, roughly 20 pounds. And he said that they'll just let you die. He said they won't do nothing. And during that time after I spoke to you, I had finally the nurse manager of the jail came up and said, oh, we're going to do this and this and this and let you out and put you back on your range. And it was all lies. They just kept lying to me. And I kept asking for my Bible, and they kept saying, nope, you're not getting a Bible till you eat. And I don't know, I just realized, I thought to myself, well, either I die over this or I continue. So I did what the chaplain said, and I ate. I got back to my regular range, and they did fix my diet. Now, instead of them feeding me nothing but bread and potatoes and pasta and rice even on weekends for breakfast, as a diabetic who doesn't take medication but manages it on my own, they finally listened, and now at least I'm getting a high protein diet with not all those carbs, and things are going very well that way.
Good.
Um,
I'm glad the depression
yeah,
worked and the
so
exposure.
something come out of it, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with your message. Like that interview we did, when I got back to my range, everybody's like, oh, what happened? We heard you had COVID, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I never had COVID. They were just locking me down to punish me because they don't believe in the vaccine. And it's exactly what they did. And then, because I was fighting for my Bible, just because I wanted it, they weren't going to give it to me. So since I've been back, like things have been much better, but it took that just to get fed properly. So now in the last week there, my lawyer, I don't know if I told you before, that they found, I've been charged twice, right? I've been charged in family court for contempt. And that was for breaking a court order telling me to bring Sarah back again. And I haven't been through it all with you, but, I was given 2 legal aid lawyers to fight that. They both told me you need to plead guilty, and then they'll have to drop the criminal side because it'll be double jeopardy, which is like charging you twice for the same crime. And I said, no, I'm not pleading guilty. I didn't do anything wrong. And both lawyers refused to defend me. It went to a hearing in family court. The lawyer did nothing, would refuse to even argue it, and then he quit. And the judge, even though I said I needed time to find a lawyer to do my defense, he went and found me guilty anyways and sentenced me to 60 days in jail. This is this Justice McGaw in Saskatchewan, Queen's Bench. Now it's King's Bench. So he found me guilty, even though I was waiting and couldn't get a lawyer, and he sentenced me to 60 days on the fact that I didn't return her according to the court order. Well, then my lawyer went ahead with this. It's called Autrefois, which is Outfrois. Second word is convict, but it says convict. It's French, which means double jeopardy, which means you can't be tried twice for the same circumstances by 2 different courts. And basically, it's concrete, like it's bulletproof. It's backed by the Supreme Court of Canada ruling, and it's called Kineapple, Keinapple, and it's also backed by the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which obviously doesn't have teeth anymore. And but Section 11H states the same thing. A resident of Canada can't be found guilty or even tried, never even found guilty. He can't even be tried on the same offense twice. And that's exactly what they've done. My lawyer found out during all this, that the actual criminal side, where they want me to go to prison for this, like up to 10 years, believe it or not, that side of it, they based that criminal charge on a court order of Justice Luer, which is of the appeal court, before I left with my daughter. Believe it or not, that court order doesn't even exist. They based my whole criminal charge and kept me in jail here for 9 months on a court order that doesn't even exist. What Justice Luer did was just a fiat, which is just like a little agreement that says, I'm going to lift the stay, because they told me to bring my daughter back. They put a police clause in. I said no. I took it to the appeal court for people would think of it as an injunction, something to stop the police from coming to get her. I filed that. All Justice Luer did was cancel it and say, nope, the police can come get her. And then I left. But they charged me based on something that doesn't even exist. So when we went to court last week and fought this, we had one judge who was supposed to be really fair. They switched him out at the last minute, and they put in the trial judge that's going to be overseeing my trial. Her name is Macmillan Brown. It's a female. And it sounds like a male, but it's a female. According to what I've heard, she has no criminal experience whatsoever, like hardly anything. And she's the one who's going to oversee my trial next year. Again, handpicked. I don't know what goes on with this corrupt system, but it just seems to get funnier and funnier at my expense all the time. So we go to the hearing with my transgendered crown prosecutor, Zoe, who was a man and is now a woman. And my lawyer puts his argument out, states everything, says, listen, he backed it with Supreme Court rulings. He backed 2 of them. He backed it with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. He stated you charged him and kept him in jail on a court order that doesn't even exist. And he went through the whole argument. After the argument was over and the Crown Attorney stood up to give her side of the case, she had nothing. She didn't even acknowledge the fact that I'm sitting here in jail based on a court order that doesn't even exist. They didn't even answer to that, and neither did the judge. All she said was basically, well, if you let him go, it doesn't make any sense. That's wrong. You can't let him go. That was like her argument. That was it. For like 20 minutes, she just argued that over and over. And then my lawyer got back up on the rebuttal, and he said, it doesn't matter what you people think. It doesn't even matter, he said to the judge, what you think or how you feel about this. You don't write the law. The legislature does. And it's not up for you to make law. It's up for the legislature to make the law. You're only there to interpret the law and enforce it. And he says this law has already been interpreted and it's already been enforced back in 1982 and 1990 with the Supreme Court rulings and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So you know what the judge does? Again, like everywhere I go, even in my civil contempt hearing, the lawyer was useless. Couldn't find an argument to convict me if her life depended on it. So the judge always takes over because they're the ones who are directed by who knows who, the attorney general, or I don't know who directs these people to come against me. But whoever it is, it's the same situation. The lawyer, the Crowns, and the other lawyer didn't know anything. So the judge speaks up and says, well, I was doing research last night after I got your brief, Mr. Kupal, that's my lawyer, and I found these court case law from 1974. And my lawyer again stood up and said, it doesn't matter. 1982, Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and the Supreme Court overrides what you're saying. And she's like, oh, I'll have to percolate on this. But I should have been released right then and there. Like, that should have been the end of it. Because it says, they keep saying, oh, these charges aren't the same. One is abduction and contravention of a parenting order, which is a criminal, and the other one's contempt. And my lawyer goes right through the case law, and he says, it doesn't matter what the charge is. It matters what the offense is. The offense has already been dealt with in civil court, and as long as there's a penal punishment, which means jail or a fine that'll hurt a person like drastically, then that's it. It's the end of the story. You can't hold them you can't hold another trial for the same crime. And it's the exact same crime, it's the exact same circumstances, and it's the exact same court order that I was charged under. So, and here I am still sitting and waiting, and I don't know, it's a reserved decision. She said she has to think about it. So will I sit here for 2 months or 2 weeks or whatever until she figures it out? Or will the powers that be above her that are telling these people what to do and how to do it, will they just tell her, no, ignore it, and we'll take it to the appeal court, which then would mean I would sit here for another 6 months. So, I don't know, Arthur. Is there anything do you understand where I'm coming from, like with what I said?
Well, I do. And just like we talked before, I'm speechless because, as you know my story, I came to this country believing that Canada is ruled by the law and order. Justice system actually is just, but it looks like the system that we are experiencing right now is no different than the one in North Korea and China and Soviet Russia. It's whatever they think, whatever they want. And that's why, as you know, I have decided to run for the position of the Premier of Alberta in the next election, because we realized, and there is hundreds of thousands of people like me and you, we realize that the whole system is rigged, that they are from the same party and they're singing the party line. And I'm talking about the judges, I'm talking about the officers of the law, so-called. I'm talking about the politicians. I'm talking about the media propaganda machinery. I'm talking about the health
police,
system.
everyone.
All of them are following the party line, just like during the time I was growing up in Poland behind the Iron Curtain. It was the Communist Party, it was the ruling party behind the Iron Curtain, and it was whatever they were saying, everybody else had to accept, and you had no other option. If you dared even to say anything, you would end up without a job at best, or tortured and imprisoned, like so many thousands of Polish people did when they chose to oppose. And that's why we are growing. I don't know if I told you, but our party quadrupled within few weeks, and it's growing like crazy. The Independence Party of Alberta is going to become the next government because there is hundreds of thousands of people like you and me that have been victimized by this
Yes.
evil, woke, psychopathic, lying organized crime mob type of organization that disguises itself as justice system, or I'm a judge, I'm a crown prosecutor, I'm a peace officer, I'm a politician, I'm a journalist, or I'm a health inspector. All of that is the muscle, as I call it, of the biggest mafia that has taken over our beloved country. So I think more and more
Yes.
people, Michael, are seeing what we are experiencing. As you know, I am still on house arrest. Can you believe it? A pastor in Canada, I call it China right now, because we're truly living behind the Iron Curtain. A pastor is still being subjected, even though the science have spoken, tens of thousands of doctors have spoken, even those that have created those different mechanisms admitted that it it was never intended to work. The 6 feet apart, the muzzling, and the tests and all of that stuff, and of course the Pfizer came out with its shocking truth with 8 months. In all of that stuff, people are seeing it, and there is an army growing of Canadians that are saying, the hell with you. You're wicked, evil, psychopathic, globalistic traitors to our
Yes.
society. You should be charged with treason, and we are going to remove you from the positions of power. And I see it. It's happening everywhere I go, Michael. The townhouses are packed. People are responding. They're sick and tired of this mockery of justice, this woke, evil, lying so-called mainstream media that is not interested in telling what's really going on, but every single article, it's being spun their stupid, crazy, evil, wicked way.
Yep.
So I think this is our time. I mean, as hard as it is to be us at this moment and to experience this, and as hard as it is for you to still be locked like an animal there, we are getting momentum. So you keep telling your story, and we'll do our best to keep sharing your story with the world, because this has to be broken. This level
It
of
does.
injustice,
You
this
know, it brings me to the fact too that everybody, it seems, in this country, this free, wonderful country, Canada, they don't seem to do anything unless it affects them, right? They don't want to get involved because it's not affecting them. But when you think about it, even Alberta, I remember like earlier in the spring, lost their right to fight even a traffic ticket in court. There's something to do with the way the procedure works now that, if you're found guilty or something like that, you can't appeal it, you can't do this, you can't do that. This stuff goes right down to municipal bylaws in little tiny towns where you live, that they control everything we do nowadays. You look at some places in Ontario, even if you're outside of a town's jurisdiction, you're forced to take their town water, into your house. Like, it's everything. It's just nothing but rules and regulations, and all to benefit those above us, right? Money, 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 and keep us in control. And it's getting to the point now where I tell you, man, like I see it in here, especially in jail. We're under COVID lockdown again, for crying out loud. We got a whole floor. We lost our exercise for like 2 weeks. We were only given 2 hours a day out instead of our usual big time 3, but they're still promoting it. They're still promoting control of the people, and it's disgusting.
because
I mean,
that's
here I am, like I'm sitting in here based on a charge, or sorry, based on a call.
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
The 20 minutes is up. I'll call you right back.
okay.
Okay.
This call is subject to recording and monitoring. Press 1 to accept the call. To deny this call, press 2. 3 to block all future. Thank you for using Telmate.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so I was saying, so here I am. 9 months I've been sitting in jail. Every time I go for bail, not the crown attorney, but the judges make up excuses to keep me. Hollywood stories to keep me in jail. I have not even been allowed to speak to my 8-year-old daughter since the day I was arrested. 9 months since I've even been able to tell Sarah I love her, or that she can hear from her father that he loves her. What could be the possible reason behind something like that?
Well, they are the family destroyers. We know that the courts have worked, and educational system, of course, they work very, very hard alongside the medical profession to separate and destroy family unit. We know they have
Yes.
been working on this for a very long time because the famous quote of Adolf Hitler, if you have the youth, you've got the future. So they're working on
Yes.
the children to create two categories of people. We know that. Extremely powerful, the pharaohs, as I call them, the pharaohs of today, and the slaves, those that are 100% controlled, those that are easily manipulated or threatened, scared. That's exactly what they're doing. That's why they are not hiding it. Even they are telling you you will own nothing, you will be eating crickets, and you will be riding a bicycle. And they will be flying private jets and driving SUVs, eating Alberta steak, and they will be
We'll
miserable,
be eating crickets.
and you will be happy according to them. So the whole thing is a sham. I've seen it before. I learned in history. This is a repetition of the same scenario that every other dictator has pulled before. And if people will not wake up, if they will not realize what's really going on, they will be swollen. They will be destroyed because we know that those psychopathic, evil people will never stop on their own. They are not capable. They are like leeches. They are like mosquitoes. You can't reason with a mosquito that is only out there for your blood. You can talk to the mosquito. You can reason and say, hey, that's just not nice. I'm not bothering you. Why are you bothering me? But you got to remember, mosquitoes, they have it in their nature. Their job is to suck your blood. Their job is to take what's not theirs so they can survive. What we're dealing right now, the judges, the officers, the AHS, the politicians, they are blood sucking leeches. That's what they are. They are not capable of surviving on their own. They are useless. If you would put them into a private sector, they would never be able even to put a nail to the board. So they only can survive this if they are stealing from you and using people that are hardworking Canadians to get their blood so they can survive. And what happened in the past 30, 40 years, they just got greedier and greedier. They just want more blood. That's what we're observing right now. And about 30, 40 years ago, it was bad, but it was not that bad. They were greedy, but they were satisfied with what they were getting. Now they want double, they want triple. And as you know, Canadians are paying 50% in taxes right now. The Canadians have been told right now that they need to destroy their beef industry because it's hurting other Canadians. They were told that farming is bad, even though all the politicians are talking about shortage of food. We know what they're trying to do. There is an elimination of the middle class, a destruction of the family unit, weakening economy, so they can control every aspect of your life. And that's what we are trying to oppose with our party. We're trying to push this back, saying, hey, listen, we're not your slaves. Canadians are not your slaves, and Canadians have enough. Albertans have enough. And they're telling you, not an inch, not anymore. We will remove you from the power and we will go after you. The first thing I will do when elected, I'm going to bring public inquiry to what happened in the past 3 years. It has to be done. I would say within the first week, I'll hire people to forward public inquiry into this lie that we have been subjected to for the past 3 years. Someone has to bring the truth to the people because they have been lied and they're still being lied. I just saw a write-up from the propaganda media, Calgary Herald and Sun. They're all the same. They're Chinese, Russian propaganda for the globalists. And they kept saying, and in the radio as well, they kept saying that majority of Canadians agreed with the emergency act. What a bunch of liars! Majority of people were disgusted. The whole world was disgusted by what the federal government did to the peaceful truckers. It's unbelievable, but that's the level of propaganda you're dealing with. They're always constantly harassing your brain with lie. Lie is chasing another lie, because you got to remember, a mosquito, a leech, whatever you want to call them, those hyenas, they cannot survive on the truth. They need to survive on the lie. So they will be chasing more lies and bringing more lies, because that's the only way they can survive. The moment the eyes of the people open, it's over for the leeches. It's over for
Exactly.
for the mosquitoes.
And in order to do that, I think we have to stick together. Like, I only get CTV News in jail. The real crap of the truth. And I'm watching like these little 30-second things they do on the news at night about the convoy. But one thing that stands out to me about the convoy that they're projecting, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I would imagine there's some truth to it, is that they all became like against each other. And I don't know the truth of it. I wasn't involved in it, but that's what the media is portraying. But I can tell you from my experience since I've been in jail and before I went to jail, that there is truth to that amongst the Christians and amongst the people who want freedom in this country. We're always turning on each other. We're always like ignoring the needs of each other. The only way to get the truth out there is to truly help each other and stand together, right? Like, this isn't, like we keep saying, like, this isn't just about me. This is about what they're going to do to you when you do what I did. When they say, oh, by the way, your daughter needs like 15 more injections once a month for the next 22 years because there's a new flu out. And you're going to stand up and say, no, they're going to lock you in jail because your ex wants it done or because your grandparents want it done. Because there's no loyalty. There's no connection between people anymore. Everybody has got fences down their yards and got their jobs and rolls their windows up, and nobody talks and nobody loves each other and nobody helps anybody anymore. I mean, you look at, like, I've now got Leighton Gray agreed to come on and represent me. We've had 2 fundraising situations going, and nobody's donating. And I know I'm supposed to be humble and this and that, but at the same time, the Bible teaches us, if your brother's in need and you have it, give to him. And I mean, I think our fundraising is like $2,400 in 2 months, and it's like people, and not just for me. I mean, I know there's other people all across the country. There's organizations, Take Back Our Freedoms and Vaccine Alliance and all sorts of groups that need help. We need to start giving help to those that are fighting. Those people, any way we can, even if it's just to call up and say, hey man, I love you what you're doing and I support you, because there's so few of us out there who are really fighting what's going on. We really need to stand up for each other and support each other 100%.
I agree. That's a never-ending nature of a man. Unfortunately,
Yep.
sinful nature. So
And they know that, right? These evils, like you say, leeches, they know that. They know that we're divided. They've been dividing us since Trudeau Sr. was in power. And I'm sure long before that. But from my recollection of my life, since he came into power, he's been dividing the people of this country totally. And every government that has come after him has done the same thing. Divide, racism, financial, separation, family, schools, everything. It's all been division. It's time we just look at each other and say, man, we're all brothers and sisters and we all have to stand together or this is never going to leave. Like, never.
that's right. We have to. United we stand, divided we fall. That's just how
Yes.
it is.
It's so simple, right? Like, it really is so simple. Yeah. I don't know. I just hope like that this situation I'm in right now, that the judge does the right thing. I've been praying that the Holy Spirit convict her heart and harass her, so she doesn't even get any sleep. So all she can think about is doing what is right in the eyes of God and in the law. I'm not even asking her to step outside and go in faith and do anything. I'm asking her to follow the law, the rules. It's like they're punishing me for not following the rules, and the way they're punishing me is by breaking their own rules.
It's always the
How
case.
ironic is that?
Always the same case with tyrants. One love for you, one love for me, one love for thee. That's just how it goes. Communists were not following rules as well. They were breaking
Yes.
everything they were punishing us for, but they were the elites and they could get away with the murder, and they did. They murdered lots
Yes.
of people and they got away with it, just like those bloody politicians are doing right now, those bloody judges. But you know what? There is light in the tunnel. I see some good judges rising up, making good
Yep.
decisions. I see that. It happened to me as well. So there's some good judges. I even seen some good crown prosecutors that realize, well, this is just wrong. I'm not going to prosecute that. And so I see more and more politicians are coming to the people's defense, and we have our own media rising up to replace the woke, evil, lying mainstream propaganda machinery. So sooner or later, we just got to keep plowing and replacing the evil with good. And the same thing I see in the educational system and the healthcare system as well. So I just met a doctor that literally saved hundreds of lives, but he did not follow the protocol. He did not follow the recommendations of those globalists. And because he didn't, he did what doctors are supposed to do no harm, save lives. And he did follow that, and he saved literally almost 500 people in the province of Alberta. Incredible story. One of the heroes of Canada. This man deserves a medal for saving so many lives. And he says some of them were almost dying, and because he used what he was trained to do. He used the right medicine, the right thing. He was able to get them out of trouble. Otherwise, they would probably be statistics in, the lying statistic, bumping their numbers with cases, so-called cases, and all that stuff. So there are heroes out there, Michael. They are, and more are rising up. So we just got to keep plowing and persevering this attack, the greatest attack against our liberty we have ever seen, at least in the modern day history.
Yes. Well, I pray, Arthur, that this gets out. Like the last one you did, I've been told by guards in here in the jail that I'm in, and by other people that your video got shared on Facebook and has been everywhere, and it's gone all over, and it's in, people on the outside even are sharing it back and forth. And I hope people share this, and I hope people pray for me, and I hope that people talk about it and put pressure on this Judge McMillan Brown to follow the law. It just blows my mind that the Crown Attorney doesn't have an argument to defend what they've done to me, and the judge picks up the fight for her. It's so pathetic to watch it happen. Being for me sitting there in handcuffs watching while I've lost everything, and watching them play this game with my freedom and with my life and with my daughter's life. Sarah has been without her dad for 9 months, not even a phone call. It's got to stop. And I just pray that people share this message that you're putting out. I pray that they donate to the Give Send Go with me, and I pray that Leighton Gray can get involved and start exerting the pressure that needs to be exerted, because it's so hard for me to do anything in here. And if it wasn't for people like you and George Pears and Ted Kuntz and all the other Alex Newman from the States, if it wasn't for people like that talking about this, I'd just be a mushroom. I'd just be, like they say, fed shit and kept in the dark. It's a crude thing, but it's the truth, right? They lock you in here so people forget about you.
That's exactly what they want. So stay strong, Michael. God bless, and
I will.
May God's will be done.
Thank you. Thank you, Arthur. Love you, brother.
God bless you, man.
Yep. Bye-bye.